Hello YouTube, this is Dakota from Bowtied Media, and today we've got a brand new installment of This Week in EDM, where we go over songs that came out this past week in EDM songs I wanted to talk about. As always, there is a Spotify link down below for all the songs in easy access, and also just remember, this is just my opinion, do not take them as gospel truths. So let's hop into it. Starting us off in the bad category, we've got MORTEN featuring Bonn with Take Me Home. Main stage techno that just offers so little. The lyrics are boring, the beat is bland, and there's just nothing special going on. Then we've got INFEKT with Simple Ingredient from the new Port Zero Shipment 3 compilation. I would say another dud from these Port Zero shipments, I must say. Even for INFEKT standards, this rhythm is too flat and repetitive for me to find any real enjoyment from. Maybe I'm just a rhythm hater again. And hopping into the meh category, and speaking of being a hater again, we've got Egzod with Not Alone, another melodic dubstep track that I just don't care for really at all. Yeah, it's got a hardcore switch up in the back half, but I just can't get behind the generic production and really flat mixing on this track. Then we got John Summit and Gorgon City featuring Rhys from the Sticks with Is Everybody Having Fun? Another main stage techno track that just doesn't sound all that unique. It's fairly by the books and lacks much really pump up energy that the track is trying to convey lyrically. Then we got Encore and LissA with How Can I Be Myself? A breezy and laid-back melodic house tune from Conroe's alternate alias that's perfect for the summer as we head into full steam ahead. That being said, this is a fairly typical melodic house, organic house track of that style. Then we've got Fortet with Into Dust, Still Falling. A longer, more somber 5.5-minute track that has all the classic Fortet touches of reverb vocals, simple drum patterns, and that ever-present acoustic guitar. It's a nice tune, but definitely more repetitive than it needed to be. Then we got Cyclops and Boogie T with Noise Complaint from the new I Spy EP out now by Cyclops. I don't care too much for the narrative that's walked through on this track, but it also doesn't take me out of the track like other sort of more gimmicky scripts do. Otherwise, the track is a festival-forward, minimalistic dubstep cut as Cyclops usually resides within. And moving into the good category, we've got Subfocus, Culture Shock, and Fragma with Miracle. A fairly classic Subfocus sounding track, which isn't a bad thing by any means. The quality of the track is solid, but it is definitely on the shorter side of things. Then we've got SampliFire with Rats. A straightforward Brittum track that is pretty much as expected from SampliFire at this point. If you love this style, I'm sure you'll mess with this, but for the most part, I was personally kind of unimpressed, although I will say the second half of both drops were some of the best rhythm I've heard in a while, which is why it landed in good. Then we got SLUMBERJACK and Kuren with Make You Sick, a bouncy track from SLUMBERJACK as they embrace a more jump-up style of production to get any party started. I love the drop movements here, but didn't mind the vocals really a whole ton. Then we got ShockOne featuring PENELOPE with Rewire. A solid new drum and bass tune from ShockOne with all the bells and whistles that typically come with his sound. Yeah, it's a little on the typical side of things at times, but those stellar PENELOPE vocals really do lend the song quite well, I should say. Then we got Camoufly and okgiorgio with A club-centric and constantly moving house cut that will feel right at home in the Euro house clubs. It's got a layer of dark, moody sound design with vocal chops that give Fred again a run for his money. We got Ellis and Gadjo with I'm Watching You So Many Times. With what is essentially an Ellis remix of the original, this version of the track really showcases the difference between a more classic and modern funk style within EDM specifically. The original is just as funky as this remix is, but with a more typical structure and production, while Ellis brings his own charm and killer bass guitar to his own version. Then we got Big Gigantic, Blanke, and ProbCause with Hyperreal from the new Fluorescence LP out now by Big Gigantic. A more aggressive dubstep cut with all the flashy Big Gigantic elements as per usual, and with another round of hip-hop vocals from ProbCause. There is a lot going on throughout this track, but it's all balanced pretty well, and I think it's a pretty solid track in the end. Then we've got Sport Mode with Fly. A track that hits all the major trends of party anthemic hybrid trap and a techno kind of finale, I guess, beginning. But hey, it all works pretty well, I must say. This song might just be the perfect representation for EDM in 2025. It does sound great, and I'm not really complaining. Then we've got Wink with Let You Go. I'm honestly still quite torn on how I feel about this track. I think I'm happy where I landed ultimately here on this list, but it's a more experimental style of trap that's more typical, I don't know, more laid back than I guess I would say your typical stuff with that ever-present stuttering melody. It really is a unique song, and I gotta give it credit for that. Then we got Justin O and Botcash featuring Prong with Ghost of Me. Justin O is back after a 5-year hiatus, and apparently this is the beginning of a new album titled Revenge of the City of Oz. So I'm definitely stoked for a new Justin O. This single, though, is a solid new dubstep tune, but I'm not completely sold right off the bat. It's got a great mix and heavy bro step and more melodica elements, but I do think the mixing is a touch flat. And I don't love the trap hi-hats that made the song feel a little cheap at times. Then we've got Swedish House Mafia with Wait So Long, a modern radio hit from Swedish House Mafia as they produce a more dance pop, lighter stylized track that will surely do well commercially. It's a pretty straightforward house track with a driven beat that's ever present and vocals that are solid as well. Then we got Amanu and Earmir with Suteth. I don't know how to say that exactly, but I'm a sucker for Earmir's vocals and furthermore, Imanu's production, so much so that this was a match made in heaven for me. It's a shorter track, but they still took so much time to establish a real narrative and atmosphere of this track. I love the snappy drum work and outro as well. Then we've got Hamdi and Visages with Lamp from the new Abomination EP out now by Hamdi. An Arabian-themed track with a deep grime production that feels right at home on this EP. I love the sound design, I think the production is great, and I really do feel transported to a different continent when listening to this thing. Then we've got Hollywood Principal with Breathing Underwater VIP from the new Alive EP by Hollywood Principal. A new 5-track EP of all VIPs from their past works, and while I may not be familiar with the originals, this Breathing Underground VIP is great. It's got the stutter house mix with a constant vocal chant as well. It gives it a nice fresh sound design. Honestly, really jam into this one. Then we got Turquoise Death and Nine Falls with Voyager. Another atmospheric drum and bass tune from Turquoise Death with a long 6.5-minute runtime of blissful ambiance. This is how I imagine driving on like Mario Kart's Rainbow Road would be, but if Nintendo made DNB instead of 8-bit. Then we got Convexity and Kiro with Gaia Ray. These two could easily have been my pick for Emerging Artist Spotlight of the Week because these guys seriously need some more listeners, but I just have to put it in regardless. I love this melodic dubstep, future bass, color bass, funky, wild track. The synth soloing is fantastic, the sound design is unique, and I'm stoked for this upcoming new EP. Then we got MPH with Raw. MPH and Glassy Garage Synths. Can you name a really more iconic duo? This track sure feels like MPH through and through, and this is one of those tracks where you just know who made it without having to be told. The vocals add some solid energy, and I love all the little vinyl scratches. Then we got Chill and Kid with Distant Dreams from the new Pretty Race Girl EP out now by Chill. I really think Chill has found a groove that works perfectly for her here. Speed house that isn't too aggressive and has a more intentionally purposeful midsection to support those jump up main drops. Kid's presence on this track cannot be understated as well. This is kind of just peak Chill. And heading into the standout category, we've got a ton because this was a great week. We've got Netty with Time Is Up, another artist that could have landed in the emerging artist spotlight, but my goodness, I'm loving these new singles from Netty's upcoming and already now second project of 2025. This track feels like an odd dream, but in all the best ways, with those often repeated vocals, stuttering melodies, and constant backing snare kick formula. It's a culmination of a bunch of different styles for something unique and his own. I saw someone actually describe this as pop dubstep, and I think that's a great descriptor. Then we got Fred Again, Skepta, and Plaque Boy Max with Victory Lap. If Fred Again turned into an exclusively hip-hop producer, I wouldn't be mad, honestly, as this is absolute gas. The production is smooth, the vocal performances are silky, and this is somehow just peak Fred Again. Fred manages to balance the overarching styles of hip-hop and EDM in a way that both fan bases deeply resonate with. It's magic. Then we got Vorso with Time Trial from the new Core EP. The king of sound design is here with another stellar package of more Nero-leaning drum and bass tunes. This track in particular is a dark, moody, and a little mysterious and ultimately elite tier track from Vorso, one of my personal favorites from him in quite some time. Then we've got Skybreak and Sub 10 with Stone Cold. From all the Half-Blood IDs I had heard up to this point, I was so excited about this one in particular. I love Sub 10's vocals, and Skybreak really matches his energy with this predominantly dubstep cut with lots of hip-hop and trap-leaning sound design. It's a hype-up track with a fresh palette that I just haven't really heard much of this style before. I am stoked for this upcoming project. And our emerging artist spotlight of the week goes to Veer with Death Sentence. New Veer landing on Cyclops recording, and if you're a fan of that intense and rigid rhythm style, you'll love this newest cut. This track is snappy with a steady atmosphere, and those drops are pretty much just pure melody. But that's been This Week in EDM. Let me know what you guys think of any and all songs in the comment section below. But other than that, I'm Dakota from Bowtied Media, and I'll see you guys in another video.